Okay, I'm doing the microphone for the recording. I think I'm loud enough, but okay. Welcome to the annual workshop on university admissions. There are several youth that have dedicated quite a bit of time to talking to you all about their experience in applying, and in addition, Ines and I are going to show you the picture from the other side of the application process. Not the application process, but really the university environment. The admission process is very, very protected. It's very highly political, believe it or not. And the departments are specifically excluded from intervening in anything that has to do with admissions. Okay. Bottom line, information that you need to keep in mind as you go through the application. And I'll show you a quick video from UNC from last year or the year before. Admission decisions are not, this is not Egypt. It's not numerical. It's not, the GPA, your SAT score, ACT score play a role, but it's not the role. And look at the application as a complete document in a holistic fashion, because they do know that everybody is applying to these schools is a bookworm. This goes without mention. So you're not competing on how much more bookworm you are than anybody else. What they are really looking for is somebody who will be successful in life beyond the degree, and how they are going to use the degree and everything else that they have in their lives to enrich the community, and therefore reflect positively on the name and the reputation of the university. Let's watch that video. So the bottom line is to keep this fact in mind, and you're going to hear it from an authority's mouth, because this is going to be the defining factor in the presentations that you're going to hear today about how you make your application strong. You are going to get a good GPA. You will do well on the SAT and the ACT.
Or a particular set of numbers.
Say again? Need to turn this one on? Okay. Got it. Okay.
Students and families tend to focus on numbers, understandably. They're numbers. You can look at them. They offer the illusion of precision. There's no number that measures a student. There's no set of numbers that can tell us the whole story of a young person, what she's done, what he's capable of doing, how far they've traveled. We have to rely on more than just one or two numbers. And when people talk about admission to a place like this, understandably a lot of the attention gets focused on what's your GPA, where do you rank in your class, what's your test score. And all those things are things we pay attention to, in combination with other things to help us figure out what a person's done and what a person might do or is likely to do when a person comes here. But none of those numbers tells the whole story. So we look at everything else. Academically, it helps to be curious. It helps to be interested in school. I tell students a lot, it's important to try to figure out a way to take some joy in what you're doing in the moment. Good-heartedness, curiosity, willingness to track down the answer even when it's hard to find. Beyond that, we're a public institution, and I think it's safe to say we're looking for people from all walks of life. We don't think there is a Carolina student. We think there are thousands of Carolina students. And we're willing to be surprised, and we're willing willing to be actually overjoyed, thrilled by the things that young people tell us about themselves that we weren't expecting to find. I want more information about students, not less. And so when we read applications, we're trying to pay attention to students who understand, first of all, that they don't have all the answers, that there's more to those around them than a person might see at first. A willingness to make common cause, a willingness to work together, a willingness to take other people for who they are. All those things matter to us, and those are qualities that I actually think any community would probably seek out in others who were looking to join.
Okay, so, all right. Good. So you've heard it from somebody in the admissions in UNC, so, but that applies across the board. So the next thing I want to show you, and then we're going to get started on the individual presentations. This is the sequence. I think everyone, not I think, everybody who's speaking is here today now except George. George is on his way. So we're going to try to maintain the sequence unless he's late. You're going to hear first from Georgia talking about the 12th graders in particular. And how the application process works. Some of you probably have done that already if you're going for the early process, the early decision. And then she's going to tell you a little bit more about financial aid and what to do and how to do it, the process for applying for financial aid and stuff like that. Then George hopefully will be here, and he's going to talk about transfer from community college to university. This is a big one because many people are so this is basically your plan B. If you're able to get into the university right away, that's fine. If you're not, this is a sufficiently and very valuable path to getting into university. And then Abanoob is going to talk to us about the challenges of living away from home. He lived away for two semesters and one summer, so a full year really. And he's going to tell us how much fun it was. And then Christina is going to tell us about how to actually prepare for the year when you get to become a senior. So if you start working towards your application in your senior year, way too late. You really need to get started on things, getting yourself ready in terms of record and accomplishments from the very outset. And she's going to tell us what is it that you need to do to get to that point. And at that point, we're going to split three-way. At that point, there will be two presentations. One is geared specifically to parents, and it's about the differences between the university system in Egypt and the university system here. And it has a little bit more information about the process itself from the other side, if you will. And then I'm going to pull the seniors into another room or the other way around, depending. And we're going to go over some pointers on how to write your essay. The essay, as you well know, is a very critical aspect of the application process. It is extremely important because it's distinguishing and non-factual. This is the only way they can get to see who you are as opposed to what you've done, right? And at that point, anybody who's not a senior and not a parent is a free spirit. They can go and do whatever they want to do. Throughout the presentations, I think all of us are here who are talking. George is here too. So we're going to accept questions as we go. And then at the end, we're going of each presentation, we're also going to open it for everybody to ask any unanswered questions. With this, we're gonna get started. Any questions? General questions, that is. We're all good? Okay. So, I'm trying now my electronic prowess, which is accept point. So Georgia, you want to step up and introduce yourself?
Thank you. Hi, guys. Okay. You guys can hear me? Okay. Hi, I'm Georgia, if you don't know me. I am a second-year law student at NC Central, and I did go to NC State for my undergrad. So, not that I'm biased, but so basically, we're going to talk about what the application process is like for high school seniors. I know most of you are probably not high school seniors, but it's good that you know this now because it's going to be starting, if you're a junior, it's going to be starting next summer. And if you're a sophomore, you can start thinking about it as we go along. And if you have questions, you can just stop me in the middle of it. Okay, so a couple things to consider before applying. The number one thing you want to do is apply to more than one school. I can't tell you how many friends I've had, how many people I've known, even myself, where you have your number one school in mind and you apply and you don't get in. And you didn't apply anywhere else because then you have to scramble to get a plan together and it throws you off. Like me personally, I really, really, really wanted to go to UNC Law and I didn't get in. So, I mean, I got in other places, so it's okay. But if I had only applied to that one school, I don't know what I would be doing. So definitely apply more than one law school. More than one undergrad, sorry. Go to open houses, find out their requirements, what their minimum GPA is, what their minimum SAT score, ACT, what they need so you know like what ballpark you're in. Like we were saying, your SAT score and your GPA is not defining, but if you're way off the spectrum, it's going to be a lot harder for you to get in. So you need to have a realistic idea of, what these schools expect. And also consider a lot of smaller schools. There are more than just 3 big universities in North Carolina. We have numerous universities in North Carolina, a lot of smaller ones. And the smaller ones, because they have smaller student ratios, they have more scholarships to give out. So that comes in really handy when we go into the next presentation because the cost of college is not cheap. So, yes.
How can we know about the open houses?
So you should be able to reach out, your child should be able to reach out to their guidance counselor because they do know. Also, I believe you should be able to sign up for like emails, notifications from different schools, like the admissions. They should be able to send out emails regularly about when they're doing open houses. A lot of them are in the summer and a lot of them are in the fall. So like right now, like September, October, like this is a good season to do it. And also if they don't have open houses, most undergrad universities, you can contact the admissions office and you can ask them for a tour. And you can just come by yourself. You don't have to go with a big group. But they have students dedicated there that are ambassadors that will take you around. And so you'll just get a student and they'll take you to campus. You can sit in on a class. Like you can do a lot of things if you just call the admissions office. So sometimes they will come to school, yes. They'll do like different, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay, I know this is a little old, I'm sorry. I didn't update it. But you can see, this is just a breakdown of the statistics. I can only imagine they've gotten higher. So you can see NC State, 87% of the students that are admitted are in the top 25% of their high school. The SAT, I know the SAT I think has changed since I was in, it's not a 1600 anymore. It's 2400. What is it now? Okay, it was a 2400 when I was in school, so. But you can see 78% from UNC, they're in the top 10%. So that means if you go to a high school with only 150 students, that's like the top 15. So the updated scores from NC State, 48% of the people admitted now are in the top 10% of their high school. The average SAT score is 1320. The average ACT score is 29. And they have 230 of their admitted students were salutatorians and valedictorians, which is the first and second highest ranked students in the class. And they have a 46% acceptance rate. So this is not to freak you out and to think that you're not able to get in. It's okay if you don't meet all the requirements. Like I'll tell you flat out, I did not meet the SAT requirement for NC State, like not even close. But if you can meet at least one of them and you have a really good resume and you have a really good essay, they will take that into consideration. So, Okay, so just an overview of what this is like. So when you're going into your senior year, you have a good idea and you're not just thrown into it, because dates are very, very important. So I suggest getting a planner when you're getting ready to apply to school. So November to February, actually even earlier now, like September to February is when you're gonna be doing your applications. And that will depend on whether you do early admissions or regular admissions. And we'll talk about that in the next slide. So November to February, everyone's submitting their applications. You'll get a decision between January and April, and then everyone makes their decision by May 1st. You send in your deposit to the school that you decide to go to. And we'll go in depth on each one. So early applications versus regular decisions. Early applications usually start in September now to December. And this is where, you know, if you know you 100% want to go to NC State, do the early application. They have higher considerations for scholarships and academic opportunities. So a lot of them, for example, they'll have more scholarships available in the beginning, because if you only have a pool of 200 students to choose from, you have a lot more money to disperse versus the regular decision when you have a pool of 5,000 students to choose from. So early applications, I highly, highly suggest doing them, because you'll have your first application looked at, and you don't know what's gonna happen if you wait and somebody else may have a better application for you and they decide to apply at the same time as you. You're just gonna be in higher competition with everybody else. So early admissions, I always encourage it. Just be aware that some early decisions are binding. And what that means is if you get accepted to that school on early decisions, you need to revoke your application from all other schools and you pay your deposit right away. So I think, for example, Duke used to do it. I don't know if they still do it. Yeah. Sometimes, like I know off the top of my head, Duke was binding early admissions, but I know their grad school program, like some other schools, it just depends. But they'll tell you like on the application, like this is binding. Therefore, if you get an acceptance letter, you need to revoke your application from all the other schools, basically. Regular applications are due by February, so you'll probably submit them in the early spring and you'll get a decision by April 1st. So the nice thing about early applications is you usually will find out in November, December, and January, because they won't even have submitted their application. You have to stop me.
So if you apply early decision to multiple schools and they are binding, how do you pull out of them?
You would just contact your undergrad, whatever application is pending, like for example, cfnc.org is how you can apply to all the North Carolina universities that are public. It's one general application and it just goes, because most of the applications all have the same thing. Maybe the essay will change, but they all will require your transcript. They're gonna require a letter of recommendation, so you can put it into one database and it will send it to all the schools. Commonapp.org is also the same thing, but it has private schools as well. And so when you submit your application, it's gonna say submitted and it's gonna say pending, and you can check the status. So you can always, you should be able to like revoke or cancel your application, or you can just call the admissions office and just say, hey, I got into a school, the decision is binding, I've decided that I'm gonna go to this school, therefore I'm revoking my application. Because that way, I mean, it just also is like common courtesy, because you're gonna free up, that's one less application they have to look at, and that's one more acceptance letter they can send out, so.
But if you pull out of the binding school, you're free to do whatever you want. Is that even an option? Can you turn it down?
Oh, if you pull out of the binding school, from what I heard last time, I had never had that situation where you wanted to pull out of a binding decision, but I believe the deposit is not refundable. So if it's, for example, like a $200 deposit, like you lose the deposit if you were to pull out, if they've given you a binding decision. Christina, do you know anything else about that? I can look it up and find it for you. But yeah, I'm pretty sure you just don't get your deposit back. That saves your seat, and it doesn't really look good because all the schools know each other, so it doesn't look good on you to do that. So just be aware if you're applying to a school that has a binding. Most of them don't, but like I said, I think Duke has it. Okay, so how to apply. So cfnc.org, this is where you can do all of your in-state applications, and you can actually send your transcript for free from CFNC. And that actually saves you a lot of money, because when you start applying to 10 different schools, it's $15 each or $20 each to send your transcript. You have to contact your school every single time to do it. It's just a lot of work. They make it easy for you, and you can get it for free. CommonApp.org is the general online application. So it's really good because you don't have to repeat putting in the information every single time, like where you went to high school, what your classes that you take, what's your GPA, like all that stuff that's repetitive. You can fill it out one time and they will send it to the different school. And also check with your guidance counselor. Yes.
So is there like a separate application to do the essay part since you said each school probably has different?
Yeah, most of the time you'll fill out the general part. It'll be like step 1, and that's what goes to all the schools because it's all the same information. And then you can click like, it'll be a list of schools and you can click like, okay, I want to apply to Elon, Campbell, UNC. And then for each one, if they have a different prompt, like for example, when I applied to UNC, I don't know why I remember this, but the UNC essay prompt was, if you put a message in a bottle and it flowed and you put it in the ocean and somebody found it, what would your message be that you wrote? Like, it was so random. But like, they'll have something like, if that's something specific that they want, there'll be a section for you put in your essay just for that school, and then they'll send it to that school. But like the general information, you just put it in one time and it goes to all the different schools. And also, students definitely want to check with your guidance counselors because they'll help you. And a lot of times they have application waivers for you because the application fees can be expensive. It can range from $70 to $100 per school. So it can get very expensive if you're applying to more than one school. And also, I just came across this and I can send it to you, but College Week, if you know any seniors, is next week. It's the 15th through the 19th, and there's about 15 different schools in North Carolina that are waiving their application fees. It's like a picture, so I can airdrop it to you guys if you want later on, but it'll show you what schools participate. And so if you want to, whenever you're getting ready to apply, you can see that whenever the school participates, and then they can get, that week, the application fee will be free. Yeah.
Is that something like ongoing or like annual every year?
Yeah. Yeah, the dates will differ, but that was going on when I was in school, and it'll continue going on. It just depends on what school participates in it, but most of the time, yeah. Any other questions so far? Okay. All right, things to keep in mind. You definitely want to keep in contact with any professors, coaches, mentors that you have that can give you a good recommendation letter. It helps a lot. It definitely helps a lot. So, yeah, talk to him. And something else. Yes.
How many recommendation letters are you supposed to have?
So different schools will have different requirements. Sometimes it'll be optional. Like NC State, when I applied, you didn't have to, but if you did, you can do no more than 2. Duke required like minimum 2, maximum 4. So they'll tell you like each one, but a lot of times like you can ask one. That's another reason why like CommonApp.com and CFNC is nice, because they can do it electronically. So if you have one person that you want to send your letter of recommendation to all your schools, you can put in their email and they'll get a link and they can upload their recommendation letter, and obviously you're never going to see it, but it'll be submitted on their end, and then that letter can go out to multiple schools. So you don't have to ask them to write like 15 different letters. So it's a little bit easier. But just keep in mind like people that you want, obviously, that are going to say nice things about you, that will write your recommendation letter. And talk to your guidance counselor because they are very, very helpful. They'll know what's free, what can help you. Like, they'll know different things. And then the one thing that I want to talk about that I think was really confusing when I was applying is when you're applying to a university, think about your different majors. So here, the simplest way I can explain it is NC State is a university. UNC is a university. Within that university, there's multiple colleges. So my undergrad was business management. I was in the College of Management, but within that College of Management, there was 8 degrees. There was an accounting degree, an entrepreneur degree, a business degree. So when you're applying for your major, they'll say, what's your first choice? What's your second choice? What's your third choice? If you know what you want to do, obviously put that as your first choice. If you don't know what you want to do and you think you can do 2 different careers, which is okay, like in this stage of your life, it's okay that you don't know what you want to do. Try to choose it in different colleges. Like, for example, communications is in the College of Humanities. Business management is in the College of Management. So for some reason, like, different colleges have different requirements. Like, obviously NC State is known for their engineering program, so it's very hard to get into. Their requirements are going to be different for the College of Engineering than it is the College of Management. So if you put all 3 majors in the same exact college, obviously if you don't meet the requirement the first time, there's no other college like there's no other department that's going to get sent to, you're going to get a denial letter. But let's say you were to apply to the business program, but you know ultimately you want to go into the engineering program. You can transfer, you can get accepted there if, you know, for some reason they have a lower requirement. While you're in there, you can always change your major. I mean, people do it all the time. That's why people are in school for 8 years. I don't recommend doing that, but if you get into a degree and you realize it's not for you, that's not really what you want to do, you can always transfer. It's easier to transfer when you're already in the university than trying to apply when you're not in the university. Does that make sense? Yes? Yeah. So that's just a little thing that I like to tell people, because it increases your chances of getting into the university. If that's the school that you really want to go to, keep that in mind. Okay, so decision day. So you will get your decision letter, and it's going to say accepted, denied, deferred, or waitlisted. If you're accepted, you're okay. If you are deferred, this is usually when you apply early, you will get, they're basically going to say, we don't know if we want to accept you yet. We need to see your grades again and think about it again. So usually they will make you send your transcript for the second semester again, and they will review your application again. And then they will give you a decision. So it's not guaranteed that you're gonna get in, but it's not that you're not gonna get in. And waitlisted just means they wanna admit you, but they've reached their capacity. If somebody gives up their seat, you will get an acceptance letter. But that's why you wanna apply to more than one school, because you may get an answer a week before classes start, and you're not gonna get any of your classes, you're not gonna have anything paid for, and you're not gonna know what to do. You don't wanna try to get college together in 1 week. It's not a good idea. So that's why you want to apply to more than one school, because you can always transfer, you can always, revoke your admissions, your seat if you want to go to another university, but that's why you need to apply to more than one school. Does that make sense? Okay. Get a head start on building your resume and your personal statement and your recommendation letters. It will make life so much easier because it will all be due at the same time, and you're going to feel overwhelmed and you're not going to know what to do, and you're going to wish you started earlier. So I'm telling you now, start earlier. Definitely start writing your personal statement, because that's what really makes you stand out, and get people to look at it, get people to review it, and it will definitely help you. So, does anybody have any questions about that so far? Yes.
So when you said to start on your recommendation letters, you can actually start asking your teachers or guidance counselor to write it for you?
Not necessarily. So usually don't, go up to them until it's time, but if you have a favorite teacher from freshman year that you really want them to write your recommendation letter because you did really well in their class, they really like you, obviously keep in contact with them. This becomes really important, a more contact with that good graces, you want them to write nice things about you, not, well, this person is actually kind of lazy, I don't think they would be a good student. You don't want that. So just continue that, and then when it comes time, then you can give them the link. But definitely also ask them ahead of time. Do not be that student that asks them 2 weeks before, because they will be mad and they're not going to do it. And then you're going to be in trouble because you're not going to have a recommendation letter. So also, the minute let's say a month early, give it to them. That gives them plenty of time to write the recommendation letter. Okay. Anybody else? Okay.
My understanding is that they stopped actually requiring.
Oh, okay. Any other
question, but maybe I can ask you to think about this, or maybe you all need to think. Does everybody know how many schools they are going to apply to, and how to choose schools that you're going to apply to? Who had the question? Somebody had a question here? I saw a hand.
How many of you guys are high school juniors? Okay. How many of you guys are sophomores? Okay. Raise your hand if you know what university you want to go to. Raise your hand if it's NC State. Okay. Raise your hand if it's UNC. Raise your hand if it's, okay.
Lost sheep.
So, so if you know what school you want to go to, you definitely want to look up what it is. So for the people that raise their hand that want to go to NC State, you know what the requirements are. For the people that want to go to UNC, just go online, go to the admissions page, and just spend 20 minutes looking at it. And when you see what their minimum GPA is, let's say it's a 3.5 and you have a 2.5 right now, you need to do some work between now and your senior year when you apply, because they're only going to look at your grades from junior, sophomore, and freshman, sophomore, and junior year. because you'll be a senior, you won't have any grades. So what you do the first 3 years of school is what they're going to look at. So if you need to raise your GPA, you need to start thinking about what AP classes do I want to take, because that's going to skyrocket my GPA. What extracurricular activities, what clubs do I want to join to make myself look, a little bit different, so I can stand out if maybe I don't have a high enough GPA and stuff like that. And so you know what grade you want to shoot for on the SAT also.
So the way you choose college or university is that you know first what you want to do in life, and then you target the college that's known for that profession.
Yeah.
So if you, like you said, law school,
Mm-hmm.
UNC is good, so you're
Mhm.
not going to target like NC State.
Right.
So this is what you make your decision based on.
To your parents and your family and whoever might be helping you is what school can you realistically afford. Everybody wants to go to Harvard, but nobody wants to pay Harvard tuition. So definitely the cost, definitely what career path you want to go into. If you want to be an engineer, definitely obviously consider NC State. If you don't want to be an engineer, if you want to go into communications, look at what program is very, very well known. Especially in North Carolina, if you want to stay in North Carolina, people know what school you came from. If you said NC, so is Duke, obviously, but like different schools are known for different programs. Very well established and very well known for a business degree. Like if they're trying to apply like 2 applicants for a job, like you probably will have a stronger chance. So that's also like, yeah. So what programs they offer, how to pay for it, stuff like that is what you want to consider. Her and then you, yes.
Well, building off of her question, I was talking to someone today about applying to colleges, and they were saying that it doesn't really matter as much where you go for undergrad, because it offers like the same courses as any other college.
That's true and false. So where you go to undergrad won't weigh as much if you're going to go to grad school. If you want to be a pharmacist, you want to be a PhD student, you want to be an attorney, you want to be a pharmacist, where you go for your professional school is what matters, yes. But if you want to be a project manager, or you want to be a researcher, or you want to be whatever it is that you may want to be, that you can get that job with just your undergraduate degree, where you went to school does matter. And what they mean by taking the same classes is the first 2 years of college, everybody takes the same classes. And we'll talk about that more when we're doing like the transferring from community college to undergrad, but everybody takes your standard general education, the math, the science, the history, English, like those are all the same. But your major classes and your concentration classes, those are what make your degree. Like for example, like I have a business degree with a concentration in marketing. So I had to take marketing, I had to take ethics, I had to take entrepreneurship, I had to take supply chain concentrated on my degree. So my first 2 years, yes, I did take some of the like general. You go to a university halfway across the world that nobody's ever heard of, and especially if you're trying to get a job here and you're trying to apply against somebody that went to a very big university like UNC or NC State or Duke, you might be at a little bit of a disadvantage, just because, especially if the person that's hiring you, if they're a local, they know that school, so they can trust it, and they know that that school produces very good students and very good professionals. So it's true, but not so true. It does matter. Yeah. Does that answer your question? Okay.
It's kind of similar to their like topic in a way, but like with public schools, like with colleges, what can make so much of a difference between like getting in a UNC type college and then like a college that's kind of known, like, but it's not as popular? What would it affect in like the future in a way? Like,
You mean like when you're applying for a job, or like what makes a difference between like a high school student and which school they get into?
like an example, like if you're trying to go to medical school, like after you get after you finish your degree, UNC.
Okay. Builds on itself. So like, and the other grad students can talk about it. Like when I applied to law school, like obviously the fact that I went to NC State, I think had definitely helped me, because that's a very big school, and you're in competition with 30,000 students. So if you graduate and you get a degree, like you're smart. You can do something because you've proven that you can get a degree and you can compete with other students, and you did well. So they've produced a good student that can go on and finish this professional degree. If you go to like a smaller school that, not that smaller schools are bad. Like if you go to Campbell or something, like Campbell's a great school, but it just depends on what you're trying to narrow your track with, basically. Like if you want to go to Duke Medical School, one of the top in the world from what I hear, if you want to go to Duke Medical School, you know what? It's probably not the best thing that you go to, I don't know, some random school in like Ohio, you know? Because Duke, like, yes, they accept people from all over the world, but like you coming from a very established school matters. And how you did in that school also matters. You can't go to Harvard and have a 1.0 GPA and think you're gonna get into medical school. Like, that's not gonna work. But if you do well at a very well-established school, that helps you in the future. I think Christina wanted to say something.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that I agree, the school that you graduate from does matter, but when you're applying to graduate school, there's so many other things that they look at. Like, for example, if you're going to medical school, they look at your MCAT score, which is, I think, the #1 thing that they care about. And then they'll look at your GPA in the courses that are required to get to medical school. And then they look at your activities that you did when you were in undergrad. So school matters, but it's one part of lots of other things, and I don't think it's the most important thing.
Give him the microphone. Say it's for the live stream.
So basically, it's like with high school and college and like throughout your life almost, it's not just about one thing, it's the all-around game almost in a way.
Any other questions? Okay, I'm gonna try and move a little bit faster through this, I'm sorry. Okay, how to pay for college. All right, bad news. This is what the school costs. So I'm not gonna read this to you, you can see it. Minimum $20,000 a year, that's what it costs to go to school. You can see Duke is a private school. It does not matter whether you are in-state or out-of-state, and we'll talk about that in a minute. With private schools, it does not matter where you're from. Everybody pays the same tuition. So Duke, whether you live in North Carolina for 20 years or you lived in Michigan, you pay $70,000. It does not matter where you come from. In-state students get preference, and they get cheaper tuition than out-of-state students. That's why there is no reason to go outside of North Carolina to go to college, because we have at least 10 very, very good universities here that you can get a great degree from, and you don't have to pay a lot of money. Okay, so bad news, good news. Okay, well, let me run through this. So public versus private. So like I just said, public versus private, it does not matter where you're from. The public schools are very good, and they're some of the cheapest in the nation. Did I strike a chord over there? Okay.
Did you hear about NC State, that UNC, I'm sorry, UNC wanted to do the tuition, lower the tuition so everybody can afford education?
I did not know
They
that.
do it like for $500
Oh,
a semester, which was,
that will never happen.
it will never happen.
No.
The lady who, like the president of
Uh-huh.
UNC said that our student goes somewhere else in other states and we lose our kids. Because they go there, they graduate, and then they work there, and have their families there, and they will never come back to.
Yeah.
They never come
Yeah.
back to. NC.
Yeah, that's. I would be very surprised if that ever happened. I would be very angry because just to let you know, when you get your billing for schools, they bill you by the hour of how many credit hours you take, and it's like $200 per credit hour. So to be full-time, you need the 13 credit hours. So multiply that and add all your taxes and fees, you're gonna get a pretty high bill. So because there's aid. So number one, you need to learn what the fact. Write it down right now because it will help you. Yes. It's on the board. FAFSA. Okay. Applications begin October 1st. So your senior year, October 1st, when you are a senior in October, that is when you need to apply for the FAFSA. And what the FAFSA is they look at what your parents make, what you make, which most of you are not going to be working because you're too young. They're going to look at your financial records of your parents and your family to determine how much aid they're going to give you. This is coming from the federal government. So this is the very first step into getting financial aid, is this is money that comes from the federal government. It's based on how much your cost of education is. It's based on how much your family makes, how many people in school are, how many people in your family are in school, different stuff like that. Apply early because they have a set amount of money that they're gonna give out. And this is nationwide. So it's all 50 states, all of the public schools. They have a certain amount of money that they have. So if you're one of the first people, they have more money to give you than if you're the last person, and they've already given out money to everybody else. So you need to do this early. Like October 1st, wake up and do it. All right? This will go to every single school. So when you apply for your application, it's very long. Sit down with your parents and do it because they need your taxes from your parents. They're going to use their previous years, and they're going to put down everything, and then you're going to click what school to send it to. You're going to click each individual school. Even if you haven't gotten an answer from that school yet, click that school so they have everything just in case. So that's the first thing. That's federal aid. The second aid is grants. So grants are based on how much your family makes, and it's based on how great your need is. It's free. So there's federal grants, which is what you'll get from FAFSA, which I believe, I don't know how much it is. I think into your undergrad school, your school will send you a packet that you need to fill out that's very similar, how much money your parents make, how many people are in college, different stuff like that. And that's how much money the school itself has from the state that they can give you. So if they give you a grant, you don't have to pay that money back. It's free. So, and like I said, that just depends on income. Scholarships. Scholarships you have to apply for. It's free money, but you are applying against everybody, and it does not matter how much money you make. They look at whoever it is. There's a scholarship for everything. Like, there's a scholarship for being Egyptian. I'm sure there's a scholarship for being Coptic. Like, there's a scholarship for everything. You just have to find it. Fastweb.com is a website that you can make a profile, and you can say what you're interested in, what you want to major in, your background, different stuff like that, and they will email you scholarships that they think fit you. Yeah.
I was told before that you can start applying for scholarships whenever you start high school, but then I talked to my counselor and he said there's no scholarships for freshmen and sophomores. Most of them are only juniors and seniors.
It depends on what the scholarship is. Like a lot of times, like a sports scholarship, for example, they might give you that like earlier in your year. And then different scholarships also when you're in college, like it might be for the first year students only. It might be for high school seniors only. But it depends on each scholarship, like the different details of it. That website, if you were to make it, for example, you put first generation like immigrant child, they'll send you a scholarship for only children whose parents were born overseas and immigrated to America. Like only those people can apply. You're Egyptian, only people that are Egyptian can apply. It's like different things like that. Only people that want to go into medical school can apply. So you can make a profile, and then FastWeb will just send you personalized scholarships that you can apply for. Yes, there's a question somewhere. No? Okay. Loans. So you get a grant, which is the best thing. You have a scholarship, which is the second best thing. Those are free, you don't have to pay back. Loans, you have to pay back. And there's interest. So it gets worse when you get into grad school. All right, so there's two different types of loans that come from the federal government. Those are the first that you want to get because those will give you a lower interest rate than private loans from like a bank or something like that. So there's subsidized and there's unsubsidized. And I always get them confused. One of them does not have interest on it, and one of them does have interest on it. So you will take out, if you have to take out a loan, which I suggest like try to avoid it as much as possible, but if you have to take out a loan, you will take out a loan. When you are in school, as long as you remain a full-time student, you don't have to pay it until you graduate. When you graduate, you have 6 months, and they will start sending you a bill that you need to pay back your loan. The ones that are interest-free, you take, let's say it's $5,000, and you have a 12-month payment plan, 5,000 divided by 12, that's your monthly payment. Your interest is a little bit more complicated math. I can't tell you about it because I haven't paid my loans yet. It's a lot of money, just know that. So try to avoid loans as much as possible. That's why you want to have a high GPA, because people with high GPAs get counted first for scholarships or for grants or different stuff like that. Private loans are your last resort. Those are the ones that you have to go through the bank. Those have very high interest rates. They change all the time, and you just want to avoid it, but if that's your last resort, you do have a way to pay for school. But nobody here should say that they can't go to school because they can't pay for it. Like, that's one of the great things about America. If you want to go to school, you can make it happen. Any questions so far? No? Okay. All right, financial aid. So this is I didn't go to Duke, so I don't really know too much about this, but this is an example of need-based financial aid. So for example, this is from 2016. A family that has an income of $50,000 will pay only $13,000 a year for school. So even if you want to go to Duke and it's a very big private school and you're just scared that you're never going to be able to afford it, 55% of Duke students don't pay the full cost. So it depends on if your family owns their own business, if you have brothers and sisters that are in school at the same time as you. Like, those different things come into play when they're giving you financial aid. There is, if we post this PowerPoint, there is a link here, collegeboard.org. You can put in your family's financial information and it will give you an estimate of what they think each school will give you in financial aid. So it's nice to have a good idea until you're waiting for the official letter. Once you get into the school, you submit your FAFSA, you submit the financial aid packet, they will give you an award letter of how much grants they're gonna give you, how many scholarships they're gonna give you, and if you wanna take a federal loan out, they will give you that option. And you can accept what you want and you can decline what you want. If you're concerned about how to pay for college, they will have financial aid counselors at your high school. Once you get into your senior year towards the spring, they have different counselors from the universities come so they can explain it to you. And as you go along, obviously you can reach out to us. So like I said, we live in a nation where it doesn't matter how much money your family makes, you can go to college no matter what. You just have to be driven and you have to have that passion to be able to go to school. Any questions? Okay. Sorry I took so long. Thanks.
Questions for Georgia? Okay.
I'm not going to take long. So, did you guys listen to what Georgia said? I did the completely opposite of what she said. So I had to go a different path that we're gonna talk about. So first thing that she said is apply to many. I only applied to one. Okay. Focus. That didn't go very well. So I had to start at the community college and then transfer to NC State. I'll just throw some facts at you about the community college. It's less expensive. If I remember correctly, when I was at the community college, it was like $70 per credit. So it's not that expensive. Who here knows what they want to major in, what they want to study? Who here has a vague idea about what they want to study? Not a specific, a vague idea. Who here doesn't know what they want to study? Okay. If you know what you want to study, put the community college as your last option. Don't start at the community college. I'm gonna tell you why a little bit. There are small classes like high school, probably like 30, 40 students. So you have the full attention of the teacher compared to four-year university when the freshman courses are 400? Something like that. 400 students, and you have to go to the TA, the teacher assistant, not the actual professor, to get help. So it's a lot more focused. You have the attention of the teacher. You have office hours that you can go have a conversation with the teacher about whatever you're learning in class. When you get your associate degree, all your GEPs get checked off when you transfer. Who knows what are the GEPs? GEPs are your general education courses, like the history, all the Yeah, all the general courses, not major based. These will be checked off. When you transfer, they're not gonna say, oh, you took this class and you didn't take this class. That's not, the class doesn't transfer, this class transfer. Yes?
So like say you apply for
Megan is gonna get mad.
Okay, so say you apply at NC State and you don't get in, so you go to like Wake Tech. What changes in your application for you to be able to transfer to NC State like later? Like does something have to change?
In your
'Cause if you-
application,
if
it's
you
not
don't
your
get
application.
accepted at first.
So when you're transferring, the requirements are gonna be a little bit different. GPA is not gonna be the same. Of course, high school GPAs, you can probably your GPA in high school might be a lot higher than college. You're not gonna need SAT and all these stuff when you're transferring. That means like after you started the community college, you don't need to take like the SAT and the ACT again. You want to say something?
You've done like 2 years at Wake Tech. You've shown NC State that you can be a college student and be successful in it.
They're gonna look at your grades. They're gonna look at the courses that you took. They're gonna look at your essay. The essay is very important, as Uncle Yusri said. The essay is a major part of your application. Transferring, applying from high school, it's a major part of your application. So don't just say it's optional, I'm not gonna write. Is it clear? Is it clear? Did I answer it? Okay. Okay, so the other important point specifically about Wake Tech, they have campuses everywhere. They have one in Raleigh on Fayetteville Street near Gardner. They have one on Lewisburg Road, the North Campus. The first one is main campus, North Campus. West Campus in Cary. There is a new campus on Chapel Hill Road in Morrisville. There is a health science campus. They have campuses everywhere. On the Lewisburg North health science اسمه ايه health حاجه كده North that's the North Campus. في واحد تاني؟ there is many. Okay, so this is a good good points about community college. Why you should start at the community college? Why not? Okay, so you're putting yourself in a position that you're gonna have your application applying again to university and going through the same process that you had in high school. So I don't know how many students get accepted at NC State as a freshman. Do we have numbers here? 49,000? 100. Okay, 4,900. Okay.
Get admitted or get enrolled. These are two different numbers. So, in essence,
Okay,
I show you the numbers on these, but typically they admit, they accept something in the order of 10 to 15,000,
Okay.
and then of these that actually enroll is about 5,000.
Okay.
Less than 5,000.
Transfer students, NC State take not more than 1,700. So imagine how many of the 1,700 are coming from outside of the country, outside of the state, and from North Carolina. So you're putting yourself in a position that you're gonna be fighting your position back into NC State.
What's the pool of candidates? How many people apply in
Microphone, please.
I don't know about transfer.
Curious how many
I don't know
apply
about
as
transfer,
students versus how many
exactly.
apply as freshmen.
He said
Admission.
1,700.
I just
1,700
look
get
at the
accepted
number.
versus-
That's 1,700 out of
How many? What's the percent of students that actually get admitted from who apply?
I'm not.
I'm curious.
transfer option was a good option. He's just saying the acceptance rate of transfer students that come from community college.
So I don't know for
It's-
sure.
it's-
I don't know for sure, but I think there are requirements by the state, and if you satisfy these requirements,
We're
the
gonna talk about
university
that.
is obliged to take you in
Okay.
one of the. I think so, but I'm not quite sure.
They have like agreement with Wake County?
Yes, we're gonna talk about that. In most cases, you're gonna find yourself adding at least one semester to your 4-year degree. You're gonna find yourself taking classes that after you take them, you find that these classes doesn't transfer. So this is an important point, that before you sign up for classes, make sure that they're gonna transfer to the university that you want to go to at the end. Yani, this is very important, because a lot of people go to Wake Tech and waste their time in classes, and they find that after they take them, that these classes don't transfer. Am I missing anything?
No, but I have a point to say. There is a way to make sure that you're not wasting your time in the community college. Is that, let's say you want to get into the engineering school of NC State. So NC State has the website that has the transfer requirements from community college. You open that website and look what they're looking for. Sometimes they only require as few as, like NC State, for example, requires only 30 credit hours, English, 4 credit hours of English, Calculus 1, Calculus 2, Physics 1, Chemistry 1, and the Engineering 101 class. So that's only 1 year. So you can only go to the, that's what I did. I went to the community college for 1 year, and I was able to transfer after only 1 year. So this is very important, because if you don't know what you want to do and they want to make money, they don't care. They're going to sit you there and they give you a lot of credit hours that you don't need. There is also a website that NC State gives where you can, let's say NC State, for example, Calculus 1 at NC State is MA 141. You want to know what is equivalent for that in the community college. So you go to that website, put in the course number, and it tells you, oh, if you want to take it, yeah, if you want to take it, the community, Wake Tech is that kind of class, whatever.
I know the programs with NC State. I can tell you about them at the end. Let's keep going. Okay, so you pay for the amount of credit you take. At Wake Tech, it doesn't matter how many credit hours you take. 1 credit hours is that amount. You're gonna take 15. You're gonna take 18 credit hours. Multiply that by the number of credit hours you're taking. So 70 credit hours, $70 per credit. If you're gonna take 18, multiply that by 18. At NC State, for example, once you reach full-time, 12 credit hours, it's gonna be the same. You're not gonna pay more. But at Wake Tech, you're gonna keep paying for the extra credit you're taking. Is this clear? Okay. One of the programs with Wake Tech is that you're guaranteed a spot in the UNC system. When I say UNC system, it means all the public universities in North Carolina, not UNC. So NC State is considered part of the UNC system. So once you complete your associate degree at Wake Tech, with good standing, you're guaranteed a spot in one of the schools. So you have to apply to multiple schools when you're transferring to. There is a new program called C3, Community College Collaboration, that's between NC State and 8 different community college. It offers dual enrollment for students with low to moderate income. They didn't really specify what's low and what's moderate, what are the limits. They offer dual enrollment at Wake Tech and at NC State. So you can take classes at NC State and at Wake Tech at the same time. And after you complete your associate degree with a 3.0 GPA, you're guaranteed a spot at NC State, guaranteed. But they didn't specify what is low to moderate income. They didn't specify how that program is going to work. I think that's, from what I understand, this is a new program that's going to start next school year, or maybe this year, started this year. One important thing is that you don't need your associate degree to transfer. So Abanob and we didn't get our associate degree. We just took the courses required for us to transfer, and we just transferred. And as Abanob said, just don't listen to the counselors at Wake Tech. They want you to stay at Wake Tech. Waste money and time. Just make sure that the classes that you take at the community college are gonna transfer. keep in touch with the admission office, the admissions website at NC State, at UNC, whatever the school that you want to transfer to, because the requirement changes. This is an important point. The requirements keep changing. You can enter, you can start at the community college and transfer requirements is 3.0, and by the time you're done, it's 3.5. And it happened. So keep checking the requirement to transfer. Coursework also might change. So this is why I say if you know what you want to study, just put Wake Tech as your last option. Don't start at Wake Tech if you know what you want to study. Placement test. When you start at Wake Tech, you're gonna have to take placement tests for English and math. I don't know if they do that at NC State. They do that at NC State. If you don't do good at the placement test, that's gonna delay your graduation. So as we said, in most cases, it adds an extra semester. So if you do bad in the placement test for math, they're not gonna start you right away in calculus, they're gonna start you in trigonometry or pre-calculus, or even less. If you don't do good in the placement test, you can retake the placement test. Don't say, I didn't do good, I am just gonna start on whatever they offer me. No, ask to retake the exam. You can retake the exam. Okay? You must take the SAT or the ACT. Don't say, I'm going to a community college, I don't need SAT or ACT. If you don't take the SAT, they're gonna start you with English, like it's gonna delay your graduation a lot. Like it's gonna. It matters. It matters. You're guaranteed admission at Wake Tech. You're guaranteed admission at the community college, but SAT and ACT help. So for example, I got a specific score on my math section in the SAT. I was not required to take the math placement test. I took the college level math, the one that you need, the one that you actually need to start right away in calculus. So if you don't take the placement, the SAT, for example, you're gonna have to take an actual placement test for high school math, and they're gonna check if you're doing well or not. And then if you pass that exam, you can ask to take the placement test for the college level math. It's like a longer process. Just take the SAT, show them that you have good grades, you're a good student and everything. Am I missing anything here? Any questions about this?
For students that took a lot of AP classes in high school, is a community college a good option when they get out, if they don't know what they want to do? If the kids took a lot of AP classes in high school and they still don't know what they want to do, is community college still a good option for them?
I think so. If you don't know what you want to do, it's better to start at the community college and not waste money.
Is the AP a little bit higher as far as level?
And it
I
may
mean,
count
they're
as
gonna
college
accept.
credits, right?
You're gonna have to check what score they're gonna accept in the AP exam. It's still the same as the university. One point you might consider is when I transfer after I finish the community college, is the credit that I got from the AP course at the high school is it gonna work at the school that I'm gonna transfer to?
So it really depends. What AP is just it's college level subjects. So if it's AP math it's equivalent, I think, to calculus 1 in college.
AP Calc, AB, and BC is equivalent to calculus 1 and 2 in college.
So my friend Jordan actually got into NC State. He was homeschooled. He got into NC State. He was 17, and he started at calculus 3. So and he's working on his master's right now, and he's 21. No, he's not. He's still 20 actually, and he's starting on his master's. Why? Because he took like a bunch of APs, and he scored very high in them, and he was able to work his way out of them. So this is when the AP comes in handy. So if you get the AP and then score high in the AP, you probably have a big shot into getting into university right away. You don't even need.
She's saying if you don't know what you want to do.
I think it's still you can always apply as undecided and get into like a school like NC State, and then take class that you want inside of NC State. So that's still an option.
What about the non-credit education classes non-credit classes at NC State, continuous education, the non-credit? So like if you want to.
Not non-credit, was.
Non-degree associated. So I thought that was also a good program for kids that may have taken a lot of AP classes and have, but didn't get into the school.
Non-degree.
Non-degree, yeah.
Yes.
Like,
So non-degree doesn't mean anything. You're gonna take the classes at NC State. You're gonna pay the full price of the course, and it's not gonna be. You're not gonna be admitted.
but if you need a few extra classes to show college level work and reapply again later, that may be a good option.
The purpose of non-degree seeking students is not to boost the GPA to get into the school. It's more for students that, for example, they already completed their undergrad, but they're applying to medical school and they haven't met the requirement for genetics. So they have to take one genetics class at NC State to fulfill that requirement so they can go to medical school. So that's more of the purpose for non-degree seeking students. It's not so much like high school students straight out that are trying to boost their GPA. They have a program that's called First Year College at NC State where it's it's all the general education programs. It's the same thing you're gonna take at Wake Tech. So, I mean, in my opinion, I don't think that there's wrong with either one. I think there's a stigma that people think that going to community college is like not a good idea, but it's false because if you transfer, your degree will say NC State. It's not gonna say Wake Tech. So, and you know, for example, if you take one English GED class at NC State, it'll cost you $700. It could cost you like $300 at Wake Tech.
So I took NDS. I took one non-degree course when I was transferring. After I got admitted to NC State, I wanted to take one course just to be ahead. And in the engineering program, they only start in the fall. So if you got accepted at NC State in the spring, for engineering, you're gonna have to wait for next fall to start. So I got accepted to start in the fall, but I wanted to take a summer course at NC State just to get ahead because that course was a prerequisite for other courses. So I asked and they told me just apply for non-degree student, degree, whatever, non-degree, what's non-degree seeking, NDS, or whatever. Yeah, and I took the course and continued. Yeah, that's it's different opinions when you come to community college. It has a lot of factors in it. Money, getting your application reviewed again by a 4-year university. You know or you don't know what you want to study. You have to weigh everything before you decide on community college. For me specifically, I prefer, if you know what you want to study, just go to a 4-year university right away. Make Wake Tech your last option. How to transfer? Check the transfer requirements before you register at the classes at community college. We mentioned that many times. Do not depend on your advisor at the community college. As we said, they're gonna try to make you stay, finish your associate. If you don't wanna finish your associate, just finish your requirements and transfer. Apply to more than one school. That's, yeah. Am I missing anything?
So you don't need really to finish the AA? Sorry. Okay. Abanub just said that he finished Wake Tech in 1 year, so you're not really obliged to stay 2 years to finish your AA. Right?
Abanub, did you have any credits transferred from Egypt?
I didn't have anything transferred from Egypt.
So
But you didn't finish all this. Did you finish all the transfer requirements?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I took all of the needed. So basically, Kim Roberts. Actually, Dr. Yusser was able to help me a lot with that one. He was able to find the person in charge. Her name was Kim Roberts, and I met with her, and she was like, "Okay, listen." She's the one who like opened my eyes about the whole thing. She was like, "They're gonna try and keep you behind to take a lot of the classes, and most of them are not gonna transfer. You don't need them. So here is what you need to take. You need 1, 2, 3, 4. Finish it." So.
What you finished was considered AA or not?
No.
No.
So
No.
it was just what's
Just
required-
classes. Just
just were required from NC State.
Yeah, yeah. You don't owe them an explanation. When you go into the community college, you don't owe them an explanation. Yeah, I'm here. I want to take this class.
They don't care.
Yeah.
They
They shouldn't care. If they're like, oh, I have that 2-year program for you that you're gonna finish, and not fun.
Yeah, something to consider about transferring from community college to 4-year university. Once you transfer, you start from zero. Your GPA is 0.
Which is awesome.
Okay.
Very awesome.
It depends. It depends. So that's something to consider. So if you finish your associate degree and finish all your easy classes at Wake Tech, and then start at NC State with all the core classes, you're gonna suffer a little bit if you're. Okay, just something to put out there. Okay. Any questions? Okay.
What about high school students who take college?
Classes at a community college?
No, not in the high school, but they go to physically to Wake Tech and take some courses there. Is that recommendable, or is it like too much for nothing?
That's preference. I want to say it's preference.
Classes, because at least you know if you pass it, you're gonna get college credit for it.
That's a way to look at it. When I look at it, I have to drive whatever to the community college and then back home. That's a lot of time for a high school student.
Like summertime, it's nice. It's not like
If you do. It's preference. I don't wanna. تخلوش حد يضربني يعني. It's yes.
Right. There's something that I learned recently. It's something called dual enrollment. I'm not really sure exactly what it is, so can
That
you like?
is,
It's
I
off
just.
of what she said, but yeah.
No. I talked about that. It's the C3 program, the Community College Collaboration Program with NC State. It offers you dual enrollment, but you have to be low to moderate income.
Just high school, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know yet.
Oh, okay. That's what Tant was just talking about.
It's the same thing as an AP class. If you take the AP
Okay, enrolling into a community college when you're a high school senior is the same thing as taking an AP class, and you take the AP exam and you get college credit. I took AP history when I was a senior, and I took the AP exam and I scored high enough to where I didn't have to take my history classes when I went to NC State. So when I looked at my transcript, it was checked off, but there was no grade for it. But my requirement, because I needed them to graduate, they were checked off for me. So you could get that from just an AP class. You don't have to do, I mean, if you want to do the dual enrollment, like go right ahead, be a great student. It looks good. It shows them that you're a very hard worker. Like it looks really good, but it's not.
It's not the end all.
It's not the end. Yeah, exactly. You could get the same, whatever the result is, you can get the same thing from taking an AP class at your high school, like George said.
So wait.
Yeah.
Never mind. Actually.
I think it's dependent on which class you're talking about and which teacher is teaching it. So for example, if you want to take AP Calc, but you know the AP Calc teacher at your school is horrible and no one ever passes the AP exam, I know a lot of people then do the dual enrollment and take calculus like in a community college. But if you have an amazing AP Calc teacher at your high school, you should definitely do that instead of going, yeah.
Wait, isn't there like an online type though of dual enrollment, like where you?
Yeah,
can
I
just
would
do
not.
that?
I would not do that.
Don't do it.
Online classes are not good.
So I guess my answer to you, Monica, is you can check at the school that you want to go to what AP score they will accept, instead of بدل ما تشحططوا العيال يعني. But it's a good option if you wanna.
A lot of schools are doing that now. If there's a community college close, because first you get more classes offered because they can't fit all the kids to enroll in the AP classes. Plus you take one test. It's an option right now that's available.
Sometimes an AP with all the other subject is a whole lot. So if you choose to do it in the community college, you have a choice of just doing it during the summer. You don't have to worry about all your subject and the AP and the time to do the homework. You know, It's a lot.
Sure, but you still have to consider that when you transfer or when you start at a 4-year institution, your GPA is gonna start all over. You took the class at Wake Tech, you took the class at Wake Tech, that doesn't count. Okay, the credit is gonna count,
Yeah.
your grade is not gonna count. You're gonna start from 0. It's something to consider, I mean. Okay.
Okay, do you guys know that for your AP courses, if you take the AP exam, it's out of 5, and for it to count as college credit, it depends on what the course is in the school. So sometimes it's like 3 and up counts as college credit, but if you're going to a more competitive school, then they'll require a 4 or a 5.
And how many more or less AP classes the college look like to consider you a good high school?
Okay, so NC State, because we are modest people and we're very realistic and we're the best. The admission officers, they told my sister like 4 or 5 AP classes. When she went to UNC Chapel Hill, Khirfan, he said 12, 13. Keno bomboni. When she was applying, I don't know imta, the 12, 13 AP classes, like yani, you need to be breathing AP classes in and out. This is ridiculous. I don't think anybody can go through that. ما فيش أنا مش محايد يا جماعة. I'm very biased and I'm telling you right now. Yeah. I'm not gonna sugarcoat things. I'm just kidding. All right. So living on campus. Ironically, I did not live on campus, but I did a co-op where I had to live in Greensboro for almost a year, and I know the struggles of living away from home, and it's no fun. Let me tell you, like as much fun as it sounded, like especially for younger people, like, oh, we're having our freedom, we're doing this, we're finally getting rid of our parents, yeah, no more old people telling me what I should do and what I should not, you know, yeah. يعني ضايقتك people مش ضايقتك old. Anyway, well, you know, it's a fact of life. It's gonna happen. So living on campus. First of all, why live on campus? It's not like you get much of a choice when it comes to living on campus. There are two main reasons why people do that. The first one is geographical proximity. So let's say you get accepted in a school that is not around here, not NC State. One more reason why you should go to NC State. It's right there. Yeah. So let's say you go to accepted in UNC Chapel Hill. That's in Chapel Hill. That's like far from here. For what, 45 miles, something like that. So you're gonna have to live close. If you get accepted at UNC Wilmington, like George Bastauros, that's far. UNC Greensboro, UNC Pembroke, all these schools are very far, and you're gonna have ECU, which I do not recommend to anybody. So you know what I mean. Like all these schools are far, and you're gonna have to live close. You can't commute, right? So the second reason is that some schools actually it's mandatory to live on campus the first year, and unfortunately, NC State is drinking the Kool-Aid, and they're doing this like starting last fall. It's mandatory for first-year students to live on campus. Why? Profit, right? They're making money. The thing is, NC State says that you're not only required that you live on campus, you're required to buy the meal plans. I don't know about UNC Chapel Hill and UNC Wilmington, but I know that UNC Chapel Hill and UNC Wilmington require first-year students to live on campus as well. But I don't know if they're required to buy meal plans. You probably would anyway. The reason why, according to some studies that NC State has made like over the past 3 decades, is that they found out that students who live on campus are like more involved, they have higher GPAs, they have better graduation rates because they are more focused and they are getting the full college experience, okay? That can be right, that can be wrong. I found actually there is a way to appeal this, but it's very, 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 very strict. So you can only squeeze by if you have, and they call it an extruded situation or whatever, which is like financial hardship or whatever like that. And we are very good at like faking this. So what I'm saying is that if you want to find a way around having to live on campus. If let's say you want to go to NC State, yeah, and you don't want to live on campus, you can cook up some of the reasons. And what I'm saying is that there's a form there. It's a waiver form that has the reasons, or like that has the only conditions under which you can appeal living on campus for the first year, and they're very strict. And it's like you have to have children, or you have to be like 21 or up, or you're gonna have to be 16 or less. One of them is the financial hardship, and I think people can play with this. إذا؟ No, كان في حاجة if you are in a ما علينا. Yeah, مش عارف ليه يعني. Pros of living alone, basically. بعيد عن أبوك وأمك. No wasted time in traffic. I feel like 50% of my life has been wasted in traffic. Yeah, driving back and forth. It's not a good feeling. And not only that, you have to drive to school. After you get to school, you have your car, you don't know what to do with it. So parking the car is a whole different, boogeyman. Yeah, you don't know what to do with it, and then you're gonna keep getting tickets. I've paid as much as tuition, in tickets worth. So you don't waste time in traffic. You're always on campus. They say, oh, you sleep more and you study more, right? Because you're always on campus. So instead of if you have a 10 a.m. at NC State and you live like close to church here, like where I live, I wake up at like 8:30. Why? Because I need to drive, park the car, take the bus, go to where I get to. That's all wasted time. So if you're living on campus, most of them go in the pajamas. يعني بيصحى 5 دقايق قبل. Yeah, 5 minutes prior. What? You can buy parking permits. A lot of people do that. Yeah, so I know they give parking permits like by seniority. So the higher level you are, the better access to different lots that you get. Also, you get to draft from they only have like limited number of those permits. So in the beginning, like older students get to choose from those passes, and then by the freshman students, if there are any left, you can get from them. I think usually they're not. So. Not having your car, not having to know what to do, keep looking for like meter parkings and parking on the road, and every single time I park on the road, I get a ticket for a different reason, Oh, you're not 5 feet away from the driveway. Oh, you don't have مش عارف إيه أي حاجة. So not only the school is trying to make money, actually the state is trying to make money. Everybody's trying to rip you off. Also, you have easier access to school resources, right? You have the library. You can spend a lot of time in the library. I found studying in the library to be the best. Studying at home was not very efficient. Why? Because somebody's saying something here, somebody's watching TV. You're always distracted. You know what I mean? Yeah. So the library is there. There's a lot of resources in the library, right? Office hours. They usually do. I'm a lazy person, right? When they say, oh, the TA has an office hours like 8 in the morning. I'm never gonna go. I'd rather fail the class. So the thing is, when you live on campus, you can make it to those office hours that are like in weird times, like 8 p.m. or whatever, easier. Tutoring, there's a lot of tutoring in NC State. Again, same thing, because they would give you like weird timing. Be like, oh, can you make it here on like Wednesday at 7 p.m.? And if you don't live on campus, that could be like, oh, that's too much work, So if you live on campus, it's easier. The gym, which is awesome. You pay for it, by the way, so you gotta know that it's paid in your tuition, and it's amazing. It's huge. It has a lot of classes. There's like, if you want to do like kickboxing, cycling, there's a lot of stuff. And again, I'm lazy, right? So I don't go to the gym over there because I have to drive every single time I go. So why do it, But if you live on campus, it's easy. You take the bus, you bike, use one of those like scooters, whatever, get to the gym and work out. So that's awesome. On-campus activities and involvement and connections. So you live on campus, you meet a lot of people, make a lot of connections, which is very important. Those 4 years of your life, you make a lot of good connections that is gonna help you tremendously when you graduate, right? There's a lot of clubs, and again, there's a lot of meetings. So there's a Formula 1 club for the engineers, amazing. There's the area robots club, again, amazing. Sports clubs like soccer and whatnot. Music clubs, there's like the orchestra, there's like bands and stuff like that. Dancing clubs, like the ballroom dancing. So there's a lot of activities going on, and if you live on campus, it's easier for you to get involved in all of these. There is the Honor Society and the University Scholars programs, and I started doing the University Scholars because it gives you some perks, like you get to enroll for classes before everybody else in your grade. So you get like, let's say there's that good professor who's teaching that class and another like not really good one, right? Everybody wants to take that good professor, right? So the moment they open for enrollment, everybody goes in there and you might not be able to get a spot in the good class. You're gonna have to take the other guy, right? So being in university honors or university scholars gives you some perks. One of them that one of the reasons I did it is because I get early access to enrollment. They are also very demanding, those two things. I mean, you don't just become university honors or university scholars with no work. They require you to do stuff and go to events, and there's that speaker doing this, and you gotta. So it will be cool if you live on campus. It makes it easy for you. I had to drop it eventually because I needed to do like as much as like an event per week, and that required going to school a lot, and with like work, like school load, like work and loads and stuff like that, I wasn't able to handle all of that. Honor society and Greek life. I'm not interested in this kind of stuff. I don't think anybody should be interested in that stuff. Waste your time. Probably gonna get you like kicked out of school. You know, honor society. That's cool. It's in the pro section. So honor society are cool. Like they're like, oh, we are the something 3 Greek letters. Doesn't matter what they are. They're usually like gibberish. They don't mean anything. And they tell you like, oh, we are like the math honor society or this. It's awesome because it connects you with good people. Same thing about Greek life, like sororities and like fraternities and stuff like that. Yani, regardless from the fact that they to get you initiated, they might like set you on fire or something. It's good connection, right? When you graduate and you put like, oh, I belong to that fraternity, like Alpha, Beta, Gamma, Delta, مش عارف ايه. I like, oh, yeah, في كتير. The thing is, you go to apply for a job, and one of these people, for example, works in that company that you want to work. As soon as he sees that frat, oh, he's be like, oh, that dude, like, get him in. He's like one of us. So they look out for each other out there in work. So that's why the reason you should do that. But anyway, self-dependence, which can be a double-edged weapon. You learn a lot about yourself and learn a lot about how you live outside of your comfort zone, being self-dependent, right? Do you know how to do your laundry? If the answer is no, you should not live on campus, okay? Because that's one of the simple things you're gonna have to do. You're gonna have to do your own laundry. ما فيش حاجة اسمها ماما تنظف لي الهدوم. You know, if you have a meal plan, you're gonna be eating in of course in the dining hall. Other self-depending stuff is gonna be like, you're gonna be doing like the simple maintenance, the things that you guys don't think about because your saintly mothers take care of it. You know, like in the back scene when you not realize, you're gonna realize that. So that leads us to appreciating your parents, right? You're gonna learn to appreciate your parents a lot. The things that they do for you, you're gonna have to do yourself now, right? No more help. So that's it for pros. Cons, and yeah. Because listen, I'm a very pessimistic guy. No, I'm just kidding. There's a lot of pros. The only cons that or I've found things to be like a little bit like of a double-edged weapon is just the Greek life, or like being self-dependent is awesome. You can learn how to be self-dependent, but if you don't master it, you know, that's what you're gonna find out. Cons, moving in, bad, not fun, right? Having to move in and dorms. I'm about to say a lot of stuff about dorms that are gonna make you not want to live on campus. But no, you should not listen to Amata talk about dorms. And I'll tell you all what you need about dorms. Moving in is hard. You have to pack in clothes, this and that, and take all of your stuff, and you're literally moving, like as if you're moving from your apartment and going to a different apartment. It's too much work, right? You live away from church, from family, from friends, and you miss out a lot. So living in Greensboro, for example, they tell me, oh, we're doing this, we're doing that every single time. Be like, darn it, I can't do it because I'm isolated, you know? I felt like I was banished, you know, like I'm alone, I don't have friends, I don't have family. You feel lonely. It's a bad feeling, right? So this living on campus takes that from you, takes your friends and your family and this and that. Now, if you go to NC State and you're living on campus, of course you're in the same city. It's not a problem as much. But if you go to a different school like ECU or UNC Chapel Hill, that's why you should not go there. You'll be paying a lot of, you know, like you're gonna be losing a lot of like your social life basically. You're gonna be getting a different kind of social life in school, but not the one that you had and you appreciated. roommates, right? High possibility of incompatibility, which means, I don't know why I'm using big words, but which means that there is a big chance the person you're gonna be assigned in the room, y'all don't agree, okay? You have different beliefs, you have different political views, different faith. You're gonna be getting into an argument. Lifestyles are different. So he'd be like, oh, he's a night owl, so he studies at night. So the light is up at night, right? And be like, dude, why don't you just go study in the library? He'd be like, why don't you just shut up and sleep, you know? And then he fist fight. Things like that. He's playing music loud and you don't want to listen to music. He's listening to country and you hate country, you want to listen to rap. Yeah, you're gonna start getting into pointless arguments. That's the problem about roommates, okay? One of the stories, I remember Maggie's sister, what's her name? Marina. Yeah, she was talking about her friend who was like possessed. One more reason not to go there. She goes to sleep and then the girl wakes up in the middle of the night and starts screaming and she says like stuff in a different language. I don't know what it was. Was it Elvish, Dwarvish? And then she had to get Abu Angelus to go there and like, طب ليه طيب؟ ما تقعد في بيت أهلك باحترامك يعني. أبونا مسائل هنا؟ يعني you might want to need him to come and pray and bless those rooms, you know. You never know who like did engineering and couldn't get out there before he was 70 and died and his soul still like زي في عين شمس مثلا. And then it's a bad thing, you know. People die there before they graduate, so and their spirits are not at rest, so they still yeah, exactly. Yeah, طيب ويعني. That's the whole purpose. Yeah, go ahead. التليفون فين؟ الميكروفون أنت ماسكه في إيدك.
Can't you like request a roommate?
Yes. So actually, there are ways where you can. For example, let's say you find somebody else and you know who this person is, and you go and be like, okay, I found a person. I need to be in that room with that person.
For example, Marina and Nardine
No, it's not guaranteed. Yeah, but it's a thing that you can do, and they put it into consideration a lot. Like when they know, like why have to go through, because people. And listen, you're not locked. If there's a problem with your roommates that you think is not fixable, you talk with them and be like, I can't do this anymore, and they have to accommodate you. You know, it doesn't matter what it is. You're paying money. Yeah, you have to remember. Yeah, I mean, you're not in a penitentiary, right? You're in school. You're trying to learn. So if there's something that is you can't work out, you have to tell them, right? No, they don't really take into consideration things like that.
Can't you just like complain about your roommate and like?
You can, but if there is an actual, if there is an yeah, مش هي مثلا خلقتها مش عجباني يعني, you can't do that. But let's say you get into fights for whatever reason. Let's say you have different lifestyles, right? Let's say she plays loud music, you can't go to sleep, and you've told her like once and twice and 3 times, and she's not changing that. So you're gonna go to the committee and tell them, I can't do this. I need a new roommate, and they're gonna move you. And sometimes it's good for that roommate who just kicked you out. Why? Because she gets to keep the room for herself. So roommates, that's a problem. Okay, lack of privacy. Okay, by going into dorms, you forfeit, and I insist on using that word. You forfeit your privacy, right? A friend was telling me, okay, she's in the girls' room in Burgaw. No, I think it was in Burgaw. Yeah, it's nasty, and I don't know what to tell you. The thing is, it's a girls' dorm, right? Guys are always there, so you can feel like you're safe. In Burgaw, it's like a cabin that has like what? It's yeah. The thing is, it's a girls' dorm, and it had like 4 rooms. And it had like one big bathroom, and literally the girl was in there taking a shower, and the only thing that is keeping her between the girl and the guy outside is just a curtain. And he just walked in there and he wanted just to go to the bathroom, you know. And I was like, how's that even happening? Like, where's the RA or something? And they're like, oh no, we're all cool about that. And I was like, no, it's not cool, you know. Like, there's a girl here taking a shower. You should not be walking, even if it's a big bathroom where you can go and go to a bathroom stall that is away from the shower. It doesn't feel right? So things like that, privacy, ما فيش. You're living with somebody who's like in your business. Their nose is in your business. What you dress, what you wear, things like that. They're gonna be asking you stuff about your personal life, and they're gonna be asking you stuff about your beliefs, and then you may get into more arguments. Bathrooms is a problem because most of the, again, you don't get to choose. It's not cool. In your freshman year, you don't get to choose your dorms, right? There's specific buildings. Yeah, there's freshman dorms, and you've guessed it right. It's the crappiest. So the freshman dorms, why? Because you're freshmen, right? The seniors get to get the cool stuff like Wolfridge, but yeah, so it's bad. You're sharing bathrooms, so you don't get to put your deodorant and your you don't have it. For the guys, you put your aftershave and you put your stuff, and you want to leave them where they are, and then come tomorrow. You're gonna have every single time. You're gonna take all of your stuff with you to the bathroom and then go back to the room, right? You're sharing the bathroom, so it's nasty, right? You don't know the person who just sat before you. So things like that, you know. If you like me and very critical about your hygiene, you're not gonna appreciate sharing bathrooms with anybody. I certainly don't. I don't know about UNC, but they all do, yeah. Like shared bathrooms? Yes. Yeah. The whole suite share one bathroom? I don't think. That's what I'm telling you. In the beginning, when it's mandatory, you know. Okay, that's the thing about supply and demand. You're not gonna do that, yeah, unless you're in Wolfridge or any of the nicer dorms. They cost a lot of money, and it's like first come first serve base, and you need to be like a junior or a senior. It's very critical. Huge responsibility. You get a lot of responsibility to do your work, get to your class on time. مفيش ماما تصحيني الصبح. مفيش that I miss my alarm. Somebody's gonna wake me up. No, or you can call me. I can come and pull you from the bed. So the thing is, Mama زمانها جاي. So when you don't have your parents around you, there's a lot of responsibility on you, right? There isn't like, oh my God, I missed class. I need my parents to intervene or mafish. It's all on you, right? Your assignments, you need to do them and make them on time. You need to go to classes. All that is on you. Your laundry, don't forget about your laundry. You're not going to be cooking because there's going to be meal plans. Yeah. Time management, and the only thing that I haven't read is time management, right? Because it's one of the hardest things that you can ever do. Even me at 24, I still struggle with time management. It's a thing, and it's alive and well, and it doesn't matter how old you are, it's always hard. And and if you're Egyptian and you work on Egyptian timing, you know, we have a different kind of clock. I mean, the Egyptian, we have a different calendar too, so like the Coptic calendar, so you can only imagine. What? Oh, thanks. She's throwing shade. Phones do steal a lot of time, and when you're alone, the thing is, you can get carried away. So let's say, you make friends with your roommates and whatever, right? And you just finished class, and you're going back to your dorm. You're planning, I'm gonna study, right? They meet you, dude, what are you doing? Let's go to the gym, right? We're gonna go lift, and then we're gonna shoot some hoops or whatever. Yeah, let's go. Be like, okay, and then you go, and then they take you somewhere else, and then they take you somewhere else, and then before you know it, it's midnight, and you had a homework due, like the next morning, and it's not done. So it falls on your responsibility to know your due dates, to tell them, no, I have something to do, right? I'm going home, I'm working on my stuff, or I'm going to the library, I'm gonna work on and when I'm done, I'm gonna hit you up, and then we can hang out. So that's time management. You need to be careful not to waste time with friends. Again, with the lack of supervision of your parents, who are always on your head, like, what are you doing, Leave your phone, right? Come on. What are you doing? ايوه انت بتاخد اصلا التليفون, right? ما فيش. طيب ما احسن برضو. صدقني احسن. What I figured at the time that I've wasted a lot of time being a student on not only phones but video games, because I'm an addict when it comes to video games. Social media, yep. As a matter of fact, in my college, in my sophomore and junior year, I deactivated my Facebook and I deleted all of my social media. Why? Because I found that I'm wasting a lot of time idly, not thinking about it, just scrolling in a feed endlessly. So those are the cons, right? Conclusion and takeaways, right? Everything has pros and cons in life, right? So there isn't anything that is completely right. There isn't anything that is completely wrong. You need to know what are your priorities and what is it that you value the most, right? So if your priority is family and church and friends, you need to be around, right? What is it that if you value your social life here in church and your service or whatever, you need to be around, right? So that's one thing to consider. But if you're living on campus, because sometimes there is no way out of it, if you live far or it's your first year and you're required to do it, there are some takeaways that I would like you to know. Be aware of peer pressure. Hello? Only that fish swim with the flow, right? Peer pressure is alive and well. Peer pressure can make you do stuff that is out of your character, that is not you. And with the lack of supervision and with the lack of your parents telling you this is not who you are and you should not be doing this, you might be tempted to try something that your friends tell you to do, right? And yeah, this is so true, right? I fell for it. A lot of people fall for it. It's not something that is away from us. It's not something that's like, oh, I know I go to church. I'm a well-behaved boy or a girl, and I will never do something that is wrong. You don't know. So peer pressure is bad. So you need to pick your friends very selectively. You need to be very selective about your friends. And if you hear people telling you, oh, dude, we're going to that party somewhere, and there's gonna be X, Y, and Z, and it sounds fishy, you should not go. Even if those are like your friends, right? You don't go because they might not have your best interest in their mind. So peer pressure, be aware of that. Make your decisions based on your beliefs, your values, and safety, right? You gotta remember that we are not of this world. So before you make a decision like, where am I gonna go to this place or not? Am I gonna go to that party or not? Am I gonna go to whatever this meeting or this club is or not? You gotta look at it through the eyes of God. It's very important, right? Because there is a lot. The moment you go to college, it's a whole new world. It's just big wide world, and there's a lot of things. There's the good and there's the bad. So you need to you need to take in your considerations your beliefs and values. What is it that you value, right? And you need to stick to it. You need to keep your priorities straight. You have to remember why you're there, right? Eyes on the prize. You're there to study. One A, B, and C. You're there to study. It's school, right? So you're there to study. So you study. You don't go there to play basketball, right? You go there to study. So you make sure that you get your studying done first. Stay in your target. Remember that, I'm trying to go in there. I'm trying to only stay there 4 years, not 44, right? So I need to take my classes. I need to finish them, get my grades, and get out, right? So it's very important, right? You need to remember who you are. It's something that I struggle with. It's the identity, right? Do not lose your identity. Living on campus has that problem is when you're like disconnected from your fellowship and the people who look like you lose identity. You kind of be like, who am I, right? You're different. You have different beliefs, you have different roots, this and that, and you're gonna be around people who are of this world, who are like, you don't look like them much. So you have to remember who you are. You have to remember that your identity is in Christ. You are a Christian. You are, you follow Jesus, right? What would Jesus do? That's a very important question that you keep asking yourself before you go to a place or before you do something. Would Jesus do it? If I go into that place, would Jesus go in with me, or is he gonna wait for me outside until I'm done? So those are very important questions to ask. So do not lose your identity, right? Know your self-worth and your self-value, because things can get bad and rowdy in college. So if you know your self-worth and your self-value, you're gonna be in a better place. You're not gonna make stupid decisions, all right? And just be confident in who you are and where you belong, right? Because you will find people just actively and aggressively attacking your faith and attacking your beliefs and trying to tell you that you're wrong and that you should not do what you're doing and that you should do what they're doing because it's right and it's because the cultural norm and everybody's doing it, right? But you need to be confident. You need to be like, no, I know who I am and I know where I belong and I don't care about your opinion, because people can sometimes manipulate our insecurities and play on things that we know that are there. If you're aware that you're different, you're gonna be insecure about being different, and they're gonna smell it and feed on it. So you need to be very confident about it. So that's all. Questions?
Any questions for Abanu? So the bottom line is stay home. No, because we're running out of time. Just need to play it. That's okay, just play it and say what you need.
Don't edit it.
No.
It's
No,
just
you
really
need to do
fast.
this.
But it's already.
Okay.
I thought you'd never ask. Are you guys stressed out yet? I know everything you just heard is super stressful. And if you're in 12th grade, just ignore me because it's too late for you, for what I'm about to say. This is for really the 9th through 11th graders. And I'm talking about basically what you should be doing in high school to like set yourself up to get into the college that you want to get into. I just want to address a very small thing, that there's like a culture amongst our high schoolers that getting into Wake Tech is like the worst thing on the planet. It's not embarrassing, and it's not like shameful to go to. I know so many people who are very successful people who started off at Wake Tech, so it's okay. If you don't get into your school of choice and you start off at Wake Tech, it's okay. Okay? Okay? Yeah. Okay. So for 9th through 11th graders, my question for you is, do you think this is a do or a don't, what this kid is doing? He's like, yeah, this is like an all-nighter. He's like studying his life away. Do or don't? Why? Where's the microphone? Why is this a don't, Anna Simone?
You need to be a well-rounded person and do other stuff than studying.
Yes. So I think, well, okay, let me just ask you this question first. Yeah, this is a don't for what Anna Simone, the reason Anna Simone said. Is this, hello? Is this a do or a don't? Why? What is this thing? Yeah, so your parents are gonna tell you all the time, oh, are you doing your homework? Did you study for your tests? Like, why aren't you studying right now? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, which is important. That's taken for granted. Like, you should have a high GPA. You should be taking all of the honors classes that you think you will do well in, and you should have a high GPA. But that shouldn't be the only thing you're doing. You should be like exploring. High school is the time where you start to learn about like what your interests are, what you're passionate about, things like that. Your high schools have like many opportunities for you to be involved in extracurricular activities. So some of you all are amazing at sports. Some of you all are amazing at music or art or languages or what else is there? Like so many clubs. Yeah, art. If you know you're interested in medicine, there's like clubs for people who want to be in the medical field, things like that. So my advice to you is to pick like 2 or 3 clubs that you're very passionate or interested in and start to get into the leadership roles, because colleges are looking for well-rounded people that are also leaders. So you want to start joining clubs when you're a freshman, and then when you start to be an upperclassman, you can start taking on leadership roles. You can be like the secretary of the Spanish club, or you can be the treasurer of the, what else is there? Debate club. There's also really good, like, what's it called? Like service clubs, like Key Club, Beta Club. I can't remember the other ones. Is that a service thing? National Honor Society, I think, is based on academics. Huh? Yeah. Oh, they do service? I don't know. Okay. So you guys can find those things out. Because when you start to apply to college, there are basically going to be 4 major parts to your application. So like I said, the transcript and your GPA, that's a given. Like you should be doing well in school. But that shouldn't be the only thing you're doing. So you're also going to take the SAT and the ACT. And I know a lot of you all, like the week before, you get a book from someone and then you start studying. You should start studying for your SAT and your ACT now. Okay, so this shouldn't be like a week before thing. You should start getting books that have practice problems or even just full practice exams, and take practice exams like you're taking the actual thing. Time yourself, make sure that you know how to time yourself on it, read the solutions to answer to questions that you didn't do right, things like that. I think for North Carolina or schools in the South in general, ACT is accepted, and I think, I never took the ACT because I had to take the SAT because I went to school in the North, but I think the ACT is easier than the SAT. So go for the ACT. If your the schools that you want to apply to only require the ACT, go for that. I have personal statement here in pink because I think it's the most important part of your application. Everyone is going to have honors classes and a high GPA and a high ACT score that's applying to the schools that you're applying to. Everyone's gonna have that. So that part of everyone's application looks the same. The only part that looks different is number 3, the personal statement, because that tells the school who you are. That tells them like what your background is, what hardships you had to go through, what your beliefs are, what your passions are, what your dreams are, things like that. So I think Georgia said, start thinking about writing that from now. You have multiple avenues that you can give your personal statement to. You should give it to your English teachers to check over. You should give it to people from church to check over. Give it to your parents to check over. Like, give it to whoever, because the more feedback you get on it, the better. And then the last thing is your resume, and this is what shows, like Anna Simone said, that you are a well-rounded person and that you're not just good at reading books and taking tests. And notice here, it's not just about being in clubs, but also having leadership positions in those clubs. All of you all are very involved in church. Like a lot of you, if we have service days, you help, like you serve the homeless, things like that. You should include those on your resume. And you should be using action words on your resume. So for example, instead of saying, yeah. I don't know, like service activity at church, you should say helped feed the homeless or fed the homeless, things like that. Because it shows like what you actually did when you were serving or whatever you were doing. So the point of your application is to set yourself apart. You want to look like the giraffe on your application. You don't want to look like the zebra. There was something else I wanted to say. I forgot. Any questions? Oh, there was one last thing. Notice I didn't have letters of recommendation here. I think that you're not required to submit letters of recommendation. Yes, it depends on the university, and it depends on, let's say you're applying for like a scholarship, then it's going to ask for a letter of recommendation. I recommend that you start to form good relationships with your teachers, which means you have to go to class, first of all. So when you're a senior, still go to class. And it also means like behave in the class, like don't sleep all day, don't be on your phone all day, because your teachers like notice those things. And you want to like you want them to have a good perception of you, so they have something good to write. I also recommend that you ask teachers, bosses, and coaches to write your recommendation letters. Some people ask like me as their Sunday school teacher to write a recommendation letter for them, which is fine. But it means more to schools when it's like someone who, like Sunday school teacher, who cares about that? But if I'm your boss and I write you a good one, that's better. If I'm your teacher and I write you one, that's better. You know what I mean? Okay, that was it. Any questions? Yeah.
So there's like some like honor societies besides national, where like if you're in that club, you have to stay there. Like there's something called like National Spanish Society where like you have to stay there and you have to take Spanish 4 and AP Spanish. So like, is it a good idea if I should still take it, but at the same time, I'm like taking so much effort into putting Spanish when I don't want to exactly. And
so I personally don't think you should do anything just to do it. You should do things you're interested in. Because if you're just taking Spanish and being part of this thing just to put on your resume, like you're not gonna do well in the Spanish class, and like it's not good. Find something that you're passionate about that you actually want to put your time into.
Okay.
I think actually it's really good to learn Spanish, but if it's like all this extra
it's
stuff,
kind of enjoyable, but it gets kind of difficult. So I don't know.
difficult is not a reason to not do it. But if you're not enjoying it, that's a reason to not do it.
But and also like with like starting up a club, when you get like the forms and stuff, how do you like generate a club? Like how do you like you connect with people and stuff, but like how do you like make it? I don't know.
Well, you have to have a good idea for a club that also doesn't already exist. If you have a good idea for a club that is really needed, I think the first step is you have to find a faculty member, like a teacher, who is willing to be the advisor for it. You want to say something?
Okay, so in Roseville, some of the Egyptian kids came together and created a club called MESA, Middle Eastern Student Association. And for Roseville, what we had to do was there was a paper that we had to fill out, basically defining what our club is and what we're going to be doing throughout the year. We had to have 10 students to give their signature to say that we have enough people to start, as well as a teacher to sign off. And then we have to come up with the announcements, and like we're basically on top of everything. Yeah, so we have a teacher that needs to sign. We have 10 students that need to sign as well. And then we have to submit that to the principal for her to decide if this is like a club that we have already that's similar or not. And then as a announcement I have aside for the students in Roseville. This is, most of the people that are on the board it's their senior year, so they're about to be leaving. And Christina was saying that you guys should really start to like be active in the clubs and have a position. And I know a big chunk of you guys go to Roseville, so if you're interested in maybe running the club next year, so president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, you need to come speak to me or Justina, and there may be a form that we might need you guys to fill out, because there are several people that are coming up to us talking about wanting positions. So this could get you a really good spot while writing your resume as well.
More questions? So now, since we're done with the combined part of the workshop, any questions on anything?
I just want to add something. For foreign languages, some universities actually acquire foreign languages.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in case you want to like study like French or Spanish, stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, wait. So I think what Christina said is very true. Don't think of clubs and activities only as a way to get into college. It really, really is an enriching opportunity. If you do it right, you will benefit. And if you do something that you're passionate about, you will benefit, and it will show. It will show on your personality, on the things that you do within that area that you joined the club on. So it is good to get into college, but it's also a very valuable thing to do. Okay, are we done?
I heard about a Coptic club in NC State.
There is a Coptic club that is very inactive, unfortunately. I'm trying to get somebody to take charge of it, and yeah, it on paper, but it's been inactive for quite several years, right? Anything else? Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I don't think there are too many seniors. I think there are only 2 seniors in here. 2 seniors, is that it? Oh, 3 seniors, 3 seniors. Okay, so the rest, there are 5 seniors. Okay, Oh, Andrew. Okay. So the seniors are going to stay here, and I'm going to go over the essay writing with them. The parents are going to go with Ines to one of the classrooms, and everybody else, free time. You can go and have fun. But before we leave, I wanted to thank the youth that spoke today. Can we give them a big round of applause, please? Thank you. Well, Abuna just arrived in time to give us the final blessing before we.
Can we stand for prayer? And pray. In the name of the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit, one God, Amen. O Lord, make us swear to pray thankfully. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, be done on earth as it is. Give us this day. May the love of God the Father, Pantocrator, and the grace of the only begotten Son, our Lord Jesus Christ, gift communion of the Holy Spirit be with you. Go in peace, the peace of God be with you. We pray that you will be successful in everything. Thanks to all who prepared this for you. Thank you.
يعني we'll finish before Vespers. I am Ed.
Don't forget the tickets for the Marriott Hotel at Crabtree for on November 4th.
Sorry about that. Yeah, we're gonna start right away. Yes, thank you. Thanks. لا دي هتبقى عشان برضو الولاد اللي هم السينيورز اللي مش موجودين النهارده دلوقتي يعني they can actually watch them. Thank you very much. Okay, any seniors in the field? Anybody is welcome to stay if you want to. I just don't think it's going to be. I'm sorry? Everyone is coming back? We'll wait another minute or so. How are you guys doing? What I'm going to show you is very self-explanatory. There is really nothing spectacular about it, and you can always. Oh, was. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, like for example, my mom's name, the dude who did our taxes, like he spelled my mom's name wrong. I don't know how that happens. And then so like, I don't know if that will affect FAFSA and like their checking of your, I don't know. Yeah, that's how I did. But it's just, I don't know.
Sorry. My birth certificate, my social security, that's all incorrect. It has. Oh. There's no.
This proves that you're not born.
I would love that to be
We
true.
found you.
But they didn't spell it. That's not correct. I don't even know how to mispronounce that. I don't even know.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about how to compose the essay. You guys should be either doing this now or have done at least one or two drafts already. But like it's been said multiple times today, this is probably the one, if there is one most important something in your application, that's it. This is where they get to experience you as opposed to what you can what you've done, right? So I want to go over what makes an essay a good essay. How do you compose an essay that looks good and reads well? So the first thing is that the essay should be what you write should not be what sounds good. It should actually be responsive to the selected topic. So they give you a question, read the question, understand what the question is asking, and write stuff that addresses the question. Okay? So and try to understand why they are asking you that question also. So understand why they are asking you a question because they want to peek into your mind and see what you are thinking through the words that you put on paper, right? So they don't choose these topics randomly. They are testing your personality. They are testing your response to circumstances that you've gone through. They are testing your response to situations that may be difficult. They are testing how willing you are to serve other people, stuff like that. So address the purpose of the question, not just the text of the question, okay? Second thing is to think of the essay as telling a story. How do you tell a story? Now I'm asking you, how do you tell a story?
You have a beginning and a middle and an end.
Exactly. So that's the components of the what's that? Oh, so that's the components of the story. But the story has to have a flow, has to have a way to go from from beginning to end in a logical way, right? And when you start putting these thoughts into words, the point is really not to use big words, not to use fancy vocabulary. It really is to put the content that tells them how you think and how you deal with situations when they arise, right? And one thing that I see very frequently in essays that students, seniors in particular, write, they go find the word in the dictionary and they use it, and it doesn't mean what they want to say, or it's not what you would use in this particular situation. So make sure when you use words, it's not about the wording of how you express your thoughts. It's about your thoughts themselves. The flow, like I said, has to flow well from the beginning, middle, and end. It has to have clearly, and we're going to see this in the next slide, a beginning, a middle, and an end. And you have to go from one to the next in a smooth fashion. You shouldn't be jumping back and forth between ideas. Ideas that belong in one paragraph should be in that paragraph, not in another paragraph. Otherwise, you confuse the reader. Your ultimate goal is to make it easy for people to read your essay. Don't make it hard for them to read it. Don't force them to read it multiple times, because typically people read about 1,000 or 2,000 essays, maybe 10 or 15 a sitting. They are not going to read something multiple times. If they don't get it the first time, they will not get it period, right? So the idea is to make it easier for them to read the essay, not harder for them to read it. One other very big thing that fails in writing an essay, your first essay, is repetitiveness. You have this idea in your mind that keeps on nagging you, so every time you're stuck and you don't know what to write, you just say it again. How can it hurt, right? Don't, because it's not about telling them the same thing 5 times, it's really about telling them the full picture of what is it that you're trying to convey to them. Don't try to impress them again with the sentence, try to amaze them with the thought itself. This should read, amazing thoughts, not sentences that don't fit into the flow must go. So if it sounds good, but it doesn't fit in the picture that you're trying to convey, you should delete it. Okay. So I'm going to use, Georgia Habashi gave me a permission to actually use this. This is what he wrote last year, and it's a very good illustration of what I'm trying to explain to you, and so we're going to look at it as an example of the things that I am telling you to needs to be done. So when he was applying last year for ECU, this is the question that he picked to respond to. Some students have a background, identity, interest, or talent that is so meaningful they believe their application would be incomplete without it. If this sounds like you, then please share your story. So this is the question. So what are the important elements in this question? The word meaningful should jump at you. Any of these things that is meaningful, and meaningful to the extent that the application would be incomplete if you don't bring it out, right? So think about it this way. The application form has the facts about you. You took these 15 courses. You got these grades in these courses, right? These are facts. You cannot make these up. You cannot tell them, there is nothing, no hidden story behind them, right? The essay, in contrast, is how all these factors that are facts in your application made you who you are. And this is what this question is about. What is about you that is meaningful, that is related to your background, identity, interest, or talents, that is valuable for them when they look at the facts of your application, they see someone who they want to bring into their school, okay? And they are telling you to share the what? Share your story. So they want a story. They are telling you we're looking for a story, right? So now we get to the story. We agreed that the story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Okay, so here they are. An introduction section, an introduction paragraph should be the beginning. What do you put in introduction? You state what is it that you're talking about, because they gave you options, right? So you're gonna have to tell them, I chose to, not in these words. You're gonna have to tell them, of the options that you gave me, I'm gonna talk about my background, or I'm gonna talk about my identity, or I'm gonna talk about my talents, whatever, right? So the introduction is really about what is it that you're talking about and how it applies to you. Is this clear? Did I lose you, or are we on the same page? Okay, so the introduction is very important to just tell them what the rest of the essay is about. The middle part should be 3 paragraphs. If you have more words, you increase the number of paragraphs in the middle. So the beginning is always 1 paragraph, the end is always 1 paragraph, the middle is how many paragraphs you need, because they typically would give you a maximum number of words, right? So you adjust the middle part to be whatever number of paragraphs that would give you the right number of words that you're seeking, right? And we're gonna do the calculation in a second. So in the middle part, in his case, it was sufficient to do 3 paragraphs. These 3 paragraphs should each address one idea. So don't mix ideas into paragraphs. Talk about the first idea in one paragraph, second idea into second paragraph, and so on, right? And then you close with a concluding paragraph. I can tell you the concluding paragraph is the most important paragraph in the entire essay. Why? Because it's what you're leaving the reader with. This is now where you pull it together. You pull all the ideas that you exposed in the other 4 paragraphs together into one thought that you leave them with. Okay? So if they are going to remember anything about what you've written, what is it that you want them to remember, right? And you're trying to impress them with who you are and what is it that you're bringing to the school, right? And this has to, of course, the concluding paragraph has to relate to the things that are in the other 3 paragraphs. So when you look at the other 3 paragraphs, the middle paragraphs, pull from them information that you do want them to remember and put them in the concluding paragraph. So now let's, in each paragraph, you include 4 ideas on the topic of that paragraph per paragraph. So now you can do the counting of the words. So each idea has 2 sentences, and each has 10 words, is 10 words long. An average sentence in English is 10 words long. If you write more than 10 words, you probably are writing very long sentences. You need to go back and break them up into pieces, into sub-sentences. So this means you have 5 paragraphs times 8 sentences times 10 words. That's about 400 words total in a very, without really doing too much, right? If you need only 2, if the limit is 200, obviously you're going to scale the middle and you try to shorten the number of ideas per paragraph. Okay, so here's what George did. Now this is a specific example. Obviously it's not going to apply to you, but it just illustrates what I was talking about, right? So his intro paragraph had 4 sentences, okay? Or 4 ideas, each idea is 2 sentences, right? So 4 ideas in the intro section. He talked about how his parents moved to America, and he had to state where they came from and where they settled, right? And then the third idea was his earliest memories in America. Remember, he's starting to tell them something about how his background, his heritage, relates to his current status, right? So his earliest memories in America, and then the Egyptian ideals, holding on to his Egyptian ideals even though he lives in America. These are the 4 ideas that make the intro paragraph, and you can clearly see here what he's saying. He's saying, I chose to talk about my background and identity, right? And how this is meaningful enough that my application would be incomplete without it, right? Now the body has 3 paragraphs like you can see here. So first paragraph, he talks about the influence of the church on his identity and his background. You can read, I'm not gonna read all the sub-bullets. The second one is about his Egyptian parents and friends, what this brings to his personality and how it influenced how he grew up and who he became. The third item paragraph is about Egyptian soccer and connecting with Egypt. So he used soccer as a way to explain to the reader how he got pulled into the Egyptian culture as an American, right? So keep in mind not just the idea itself, but what does it do to the reader, how it influences the reader in a manner that convinces them that this is a valuable thing to have had. And then the conclusion paragraph is about how the university will value what I can do for them. So remember that the admission officer is really not interested in just bringing people. They have a lot of people to choose from, okay? What you're trying to do is make the case for yourself that you are valuable enough that you're gonna do something for them that they would be missing if they are not there. Okay, so the conclusion paragraph should tell them, in this case, would tell them something about how he brings in a culture that is potentially not sufficiently represented in campus. He can bring to the campus ideals that may be foreign to this culture, maybe a better understanding of the Middle Eastern culture, Egyptian culture itself, right? That's it. What do you have? Questions or comments? Wait.
So in English, we already wrote college essays for our teacher to grade, and I couldn't think of a topic right away, so I kind of chose one that I don't think I'll actually use on my college essay, because the topic I chose was how you've changed as a person or how something changed you in life, and I couldn't think of anything that significant, so I just chose like when I broke my shoulder, and I said like how it made me like, it changed me into like appreciating little things a lot more, and it like made me like feel, I don't know if this is the word, but like gratified for like everything that I have, and like it makes you feel like, oh, I feel like I'm not good enough, but like when you look back and take another look, it's like you have a lot more than you think you have like in life. But I felt like my paper didn't really portray that good of a like message so that it would be good enough to get accepted. So I don't know if I should stick with that or like make a new one. I know you didn't read the actual essay, which...
If you don't think it's good enough, chances are it's not good enough. Because we are the most critical people of our work. And if we don't really, but the way you described it, I can see why you're saying this. Think about it this way. Why would a university benefit if you go after you broke your shoulder and now you're grateful for the little things that you have? Why is this valuable to them?
But you could change it.
So that's exactly. So explain how you would change it to make it seem like a valuable thing for them, not valuable for you, right?
Are you interested in the medical field?
No. Okay.
That was my only idea.
It was just I couldn't think of something, so I had to write. I just chose anything to write the essay about because it was due. So like.
Yeah, but breaking a shoulder is a hardship. But I mean, come on. I mean, like it's not that bad, right? So this is really what I was trying to say in the beginning. You need to think of what you're going to write before you actually start writing. And if you don't think this is going to make the cut, don't write about it because you're not going to write well. And then try to use that as an outline. So I can tell you that George benefited enormously from having that outline. Then the sentences come to you like this. And you can see now how the flow goes, right? Because he has ideas very clearly identified. And when you look at this, you're not really sucked into the verbiage, right? You're really looking at them as very high-level ideas that go from one to the next.
Yeah,
right?
I think that was one of my problems. Like, I didn't really know what to write about exactly. I just wanted to reach the minimum of the words that my teacher set, so that outline might like help with like making better quality like sentences and stuff.
And the other thing I wanted to, and I should have mentioned this when everybody, no, actually you're the only people who matter. So there are clinics, but I mean, in this particular statement, not as a general, no, everybody matters, but for this particular announcement, so we're going to do the clinics again. And the clinics are focused entirely on the seniors who are actually in the process of applying now, right? So bring your essay. Somebody can look at it and give you feedback. The feedback can be, go rewrite the entire thing, or fix the English here, or change that paragraph, whatever it is, right? But the more people that look at it, I think the better off you're going to be. And the same thing goes for your resume. Bring your resume, have people look at it and give you some feedback. I can tell you as a general advice on the resume, the more you must be very specific, making very broad statements, something like served in St. Mary Coptic Orthodox Church is not good enough. Served doing what, and the years you've done that, right? Won an award is not good enough. Tell me what the award is, who gave it, and the date that's on the award, right? Worked in such and such a store, awesome. But again, what did you do? What was the job? And the timeline, how long did you work there? And, the title, if there is a title to it, right? So be very specific in the resume. When they see stuff that is wishy-washy, they figure you're just blowing smoke. You're not really telling them it is true, but is not an impressive piece of information, right? Anything else?
And last thing, for recommendation letters, should we is it fine to like ask a teacher that we had during sophomore year, or like should it be from like junior?
The best thing is to have a person who's going to write a good and strong. Okay, so the teacher that you had a fight with is probably not a good idea. The teacher that you slept through his or her class is probably not a good idea, right? Yeah. If you kept up with them throughout the years and they know you, and remember that at this point in sophomore, خلاص, you know this information quite well at this point. They are really going to say good things about your personality, your ability to understand stuff. It's not really about the material. It's not that you did well on Algebra 1 or whatever it is, right? It's really how you handle yourself in class. Okay? Anything else? Good? Shall we say Aban Lazi? Name of the Father and Son, Holy Spirit, one God, Amen. Mercy, Lord, mercy, Lord, bless, make us worthy to pray thankfully. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses. We forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. In Christ Jesus our Lord. For thine is the kingdom, power, and glory forever. Amen. ربنا معكم.